Sifrin says, we already know free will isn't an actual thing. You could very much predict a lot of stuff. Oh, no. Corey is the name, says the proletariat will rise up and eat the rich before this all gets too far out of hand. Just wait. I don't know if they can. What's oh man, who did that good video on authoritarianism? Keys of power, blah 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 blah. Who was it? CGP Grey. The rules for rulers. You should watch this, because the thing is, when you have the tools of mass surveillance and you have tools of mass oppression, you don't actually need a lot of people that you take care of really well to
maintain power.
To maintain power over a great many people who you are exploiting, and it's pretty scary. It's an older video, but it is definitely worth having a look at. The rules for rulers from CGP Grey. CGP Grey hasn't had any like controversies or anything, has he?
Who knows?
Okay. Well, I hope not.
It's too hard.
I don't know who I'm promoting.
Yeah, the audience has got to get over that.
Yeah,
it's too much.
I would be so sad if he ever did.
Yeah, I have seen his face.
Oh my.
Yeah, which I don't know if it's interesting anymore.
An unmasker.
Because he might have done a face reveal. I have no idea. I haven't paid attention lately. I would also just like you guys to remember that I advocated for you. Don't eat me.
Yeah.
Would you eat me?
I don't think so. Yeah, sure.
Really?
No.
Like, are we talking if I was dead already,
yeah,
or you would actually participate in the murder first?
Well, I'm not gonna.
Like, which scenario are we looking at?
I'm not gonna Caesar you.
I don't know. We could find 12 more people.
But if someone else seasoned me,
Caesar. I meant.
Oh, okay.
Caesar.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just.
Put some Franks on that.
When you start, I would put Franks on. Yeah. Lucas and Brutus. No.
And you, Lucas?
No, but when you're running your cult town.
Yeah. Okay.
You'd have to be careful to not get Caesared.
Right. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to be running a cult town. We've talked about this. That's your dream, not my dream.
Instead of
our
Rome,
dream,
it's Loam.
Oh man. Crystal says I'm not a billionaire, so I'm not rich enough for that, and I am not. I want to make that very clear. By any measurement of my assets, I am.
Where is the line? Is the line billionaire?
I had this conversation with David.
I know,
like ages ago. I forget where the line is, and it's after hours, so I'm not going to bother him about it. See,
I'm one of the nice ones.
Please don't eat me. Like I'd call Nick. Whatever. Nick's in management. Whatever.
Yeah.
But
most people are saying billionaire. It looks. Oh, Canadian or American? That's a huge difference.
I'm nowhere near either. Like it's not even.
Oh no!
It's not even on the radar.
I'm saying where the line is.
Oh, we got to talk in U.S. dollars. U.S. dollars is the global measure of wealth.
Yeah.
So okay. Well, without looking at the answers. Okay. So where's your line? Let's bring Dan into this.
To like the eat the rich line.
Yeah, the eat the rich. Where's the eat the rich line?
I mean, there's a couple schools of thought because there's.
Okay, we have an expert. Thank you, Dan. Yes.
I mean, because you've got like a lot of people talk about the middle class.
Yeah.
And the lower class and the upper class. But there's only working class and like the ownership class, right? Middle class is kind of a design to split the people, right? Against the uppers of society.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, Linus would be one of those people already because he employs people and owns a factory.
But he does also work.
Yeah, but...
I don't have to, though.
You don't have to.
I think that's an important line. I don't have to realistically anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Does Linus deserve to be guillotined?
Well, hold on a second. Let me just jump in and correct you. It's guillotined.
Yes.
So
that's probably not going to win me any favors.
Now that he did that, yes.
All right, I'll go get the one in my car. I've been waiting for this. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little difficult, right? Where is the line of like Bezos to Linus? Literature would tell us that there is no line. right?
Interesting. But I can tell you that the difference between my lifestyle, and my wealth and Bezos's
It's extremely dramatic.
Absolutely
is
incomparable.
colossal. Buddy literally wanted them to deconstruct a fucking bridge
For his fancy
so that he
boat.
could get his boat out of the shipyard. Like, this is like...
It's a historical bridge.
Nah,
I like my
everyone has a price.
I like my boat.
I need to get my shirts out.
My boat needs to be in slightly different water.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure
Need to
there's
get
a
my
line.
shirts out?
Well, because you have the $400 shirts and you need them in your villa in the
Yes.
south of France.
Yes.
This is a great post from Imperator. The difference between $1 billion and $1 million is approximately $1 billion.
Yeah, but what if you had 800 million or 500 million or 100 million?
I don't know. I feel unqualified to weigh in on this. I'm just kind of sitting here and
That's another
figuring out if I need to get my go bag.
Linus has money, right? And I think Linus, we've talked about this after when a few times now, right? Linus he's got money,
But there's also
but he doesn't have like a lot of money.
There's also an interesting question because like the valuation of the company was something that was brought up a little while ago.
Yes.
So we said publicly what the offer was.
Yes.
But this is one of those, as much as we've tried to rage against this, we are one of those inverted pyramid YouTube companies where if you leave, we're in trouble.
Like the machine
We're
isn't
not necessarily
self-sustaining.
like
Amazon will be okay.
it might have a pretty flat bottom of the pyramid,
Right.
Inverted pyramid, but it's still an inverted pyramid.
So, and we're trying to make that better, but it is
Yep.
hard.
Yeah.
What we do.
It's not necessarily about that, I think, right?
I think it is,
Like-
though, because that is not cash that he has. That is an asset that he owns, which is the
if
company.
we take Linus out of the equation, I
And
think he's just an example in this, right?
Take me out of the equation. I don't like the direction this is going.
We'll
With
pull
what
him into
device?
pieces, right? Like Linus has money, right?
Those machines are in Diablo.
Yeah, exactly. But he doesn't have like extreme levels of wealth. Like
I mean,
intergenerational
What I'm saying is,
levels
too,
of
is
wealth.
if he stops working, also known as leaves the company, the value of the thing that he owns goes down significantly.
But again, it's not about necessarily Linus in particular when we're talking about this line, right? Say Linus just owned the factory that is LMG, right?
Sure.
Right? He could dissolve it. That would be fine. He could take the money from the buyout, which would be, 9 figures or something like that.
Yeah, but the buyout required him to stay, so he's still
It did.
working.
It did require me to stay for a period of 2 years.
Again, you're still using him as the example.
Yeah, but
if
he's
you,
the thing
if
that
you
we're talking
had
about.
$100 million, right?
Yeah.
And wasn't working or just owned the company and did other things, like, is that where the line is?
This is
Is
what
it
I'm
50
asking.
million?
Because what
Is
I'm
it 10
saying is
million?
he doesn't have $100 million
I don't.
because he didn't accept the buyout.
Mm-hmm.
And
But I own an asset that's worth that. But
Sort
the
of.
asset is worth less if I'm not working.
yeah,
So it's complicated.
yeah.
Okay. But my question, let's get off the subject of me for a minute.
That's what I'm trying to do.
No!
My question is, where would the line be if we weren't talking about me?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Does it come down to what you do day to day? Is it your lifestyle? Or is it your wealth, like your net worth? Or is it your cash? Because you could have a very frugal lifestyle, but you could have a ton of cash in the bank and just choose to live like a normal person. You could have an extravagant lifestyle, but actually have no real assets. So you're living check to check, but you have a huge income. You could have huge wealth, huge net worth, but actually all of it is illiquid. Illiquid, whatever. It's not liquid, right? It's tied up. It's in companies that are private companies, so you can't just like trade the stock on the open market or anything like that. So in that category, you could live a very extravagant lifestyle, or you could not live a very extravagant lifestyle, or you could live somewhere in between. Like, what are we measuring here?
I don't know. I think it depends on too many. Yeah, your disregard for human life, which is an impossible thing to measure. But I do agree which is part of the problem. Because like if you own a bunch of businesses but aren't raking disgusting, ruin the world level profit margins like a lot of businesses do, and you're employing a bunch of people in jobs that are paying them well and stuff like that, if you have a bunch of wealth because you technically own all these businesses, I don't think you should just be guillotined.
I think that kind of depends on the person, right? Because technically you would be of the ownership class and therefore subject to head separation, right?
Okay. But does it... Okay, so then tell me this. On the subject of head separation then, does it come down to what your answer to the trolley problem would be? Would you...
Do you own the company that produces the trolleys? Are you the train company? If so, head separated. If you are employed by the train company to drive the train over people, then you don't get guillotined.
But does that mean that the person pulling the lever who doesn't own anything, regardless of decision, is cool?
I don't know. If you had 4 billionaires on one side and 1 billionaire on one side, like... how can I drift across both tracks, you know?
Oh, man.
It's
Deja vu.
I've seen that done a lot. I don't know. Where is the line? If it's just monetary wealth, like Linus said, it depends how you use it. If you just have a lot of wealth and are nice, like, Bill Gates.
Okay.
Bill Gates versus Jeff Bezos.
So I could talk a fair bit about how...
Drop them both.
Bill Gates has done a lot of...
what if I just owned all the farmland? What would happen then?
What about the guy that bought the onion futures for the entire U.S. for like ever? And then had to get rules made about him. What if you'd have just so much money you can just be like, I own all the vegetables?
Yeah.
which happened.
Gates has yet to provide a really solid defense for why he owns such a large proportion of the agricultural land in the United States of America.
What if I controlled all of their food? What if I was the one that got to decide if you eat or not?
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
I don't know that I would draw a distinction between those two particular...
I don't at all.
What if it's living outside of your means? Like, if you have 2 houses, guillotine.
Living outside of your means, though, if anything, I think that you could make the argument that they're a victim of a society that has... No, hold on, I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
All right, let's go. I'm into this.
No. Of a society that has...
They're pulling the rope back.
That has made...
They're getting ready.
What if they're a victim of a society that has set unrealistic expectations for what kind of lifestyle they have to uphold in order to be one of the cool kids, if that's meaningful to them? What if they're a victim of the kind of borrowing culture that we have, and they they felt pressured in order to keep up to borrow money in order to sort of build that.
Is that the way you're trying to live outside your means?
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
I think more like being inside of a societal place. Like everybody has enough. Like eventually you have enough. Right. One of the arguments that I wanted to make was like, okay, you have more than $200 million, just 100% tax. You can't have more than $200 million. But then thinking about somebody like Bezos, who actually has no money because he just has giant loans and then he borrows against those loans. So he's in debt forever. Right. He uses his massive stock wealth, which isn't really anything, to basically be in, hundreds of $millions of debt. Like Linus probably has more money than Bezos. Maybe.
Not.
Probably not. But you kind of get the comparison,
He's probably got
right?
more liquid cash just in case he feels like doing anything.
Yeah, in case he needs like a gold-plated
maybe I need to buy a
tissue paper to put his
exactly.
nose on.
I just have a bunch of gold bars in my basement. That sort of thing, right?
I wonder how many seconds it would take.
It's already that many.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have 2 houses, if you own 400 acres of land, if you have 75 cars,
Okay, what if
you have 400 acres of land and it's all agriculture and you're growing crops for people and you're not necessarily making...
Yeah, what if you're not gouging?
Yeah.
Then are you
I think a lot of it to me is the gouging. How are you actively using your immense wealth to make life terrible for other people. And I think just hoarding wealth and doing nothing with it is a form of actively using it to make other people's lives terrible.
Tell me this. I mean, it's no secret that the badminton center, based on the list price, is worth anywhere between about 20 to, let's see, what would the math be? 20 to 23 million US dollars.
Okay.
That's not a secret that you can look that up.
I
clearly own a badminton center because I made a video about it.
And this building.
And this building.
And the other building.
And the labs building.
And the other building.
And Creator Warehouse building.
And your house.
And my house. You forgot my old house where my in-laws live.
Okay, I didn't know that was public.
Well, whatever.
It is now.
Apparently it is.
I think you have talked about that online before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Guillotine?
Do we make a fancy one? Do we get D-Brand to skin it?
LTT store. We could live stream it. I mean, the end of the streak.
They are our official. They're our official skin partner.
Oh, jeez.
Am I doing anything that makes someone's life actively worse?
That's where a lot of it comes down to me.
You don't invest in real estate. You invest in business real estate. I always respect that about you, is you're not buying up houses.
But I do. But okay, so if I own two houses, but I literally give one of them to a relative to live in, am I evil?
I think landlords are evil. Landscape, like real estate prospector type people.
Okay, am I a landlord if I don't charge them? Or am I just a land guy?
You're like
land bro.
land bro. We're putting your rent down this month. I'm sorry. I have to pay you now.
Land son. Yeah.
Land son. I don't know. It's I mean, this is a thing that's been debated for a bazillion years.
In
right?
my opinion, it completely comes down to the oppression and neck stomping that happens. And if you have your 400 acres, but you're doing it to grow crops that you're selling at fair prices that are not crushing anyone,
but you could argue that just having that much capital in general is bad.
Yeah,
if it is impossible for anyone else to do farming because you own all the farmland, Bill Gates, then yeah, I agree that that's bad. But there is a lot of land. Like if you have 400 acres in Canada and you're not really close to the American border, who cares?
Yeah, but what's stopping me with my vast amounts of wealth to just go to another country and buy up all of their stuff, right?
But you didn't.
So is it the power then? So back to where's the line is? Is the line power?
This is where we go to the ownership class versus the working class, right?
But
ownership
there's degrees
class has
of
the power.
There's degrees of ownership class.
And so where is the power line, right? If money's not a problem, how much control and power do you have, right? I think that should be the deciding factor,
if you use
right?
it poorly, though. Now we're getting into I don't
it becomes
understand
back onto the person.
The terms for what these different political and philosophical arguments are, but I'm going to call this the Superman discussion because good dude, tons of power, right? So I think there is, like I'm saying, with this farmer 400 acres, but not competitive 400 acres that's growing crops and selling them at fair prices.
That man should fight him.
Yeah. Well, Batman should keep him in check.
Yeah.
Okay. You know? So I think I would want to pay attention to that guy. But it's fine. People need crops.
Sue for AWS asks, don't you still own the old Langley house also as a landlord? Yes. The only reason is they asked me not to sell.
That's 3 houses.
They were going to buy it.
That's a lot of business property.
Hold on. They were gonna buy it.
That's a whole company.
We said we wanted
a lot of things.
Okay, give me a sec.
Pull the rope.
We wanted to sell it because we weren't interested in philosophically, I am against speculative investment in residential real estate.
I can verify that this all happened, by the way.
We wanted to sell it. The tenants asked us not to because they wanted to put together a plan to be the ones to buy it because they like the house, they like the area, and it's a nice house. It's a nice area.
I believe they even gave you a timeline.
Yes. They ultimately were not able to do that and asked to renew their lease.
Was it because of your oppressive landlord pricing?
No.
Okay.
We gave them, I believe, the same, don't quote me on this, I believe we gave them the same or a very similar rate to expand to the rest of the house once you moved out of the basement. and we have never increased their rent.
Ever? They're never going to leave. So, is there a too nice?
No, there's not.
Is there a...
Well, this becomes the other argument, too,
When they
right?
move out...
Nobody has enough money to be nice to everybody. Therefore, you're being mean, right? You could just use your money to buy a swath of houses and then have everybody live in them for free. And it just like, that wouldn't work either.
Now we're making the town! Yeah!
400 acres of forest in northern BC, and then build a town, and then have everybody live in there for free.
Everything comes back to Linus.
You could even provide them clothing and like food,
and you would know the clothing was made well
by us. I mean, the hypothetical people who lived in the town.
You have my personal commitment. When they move out, we're going to sell it. I do not. I believe we have a demand problem here for housing, but we also have a supply problem, and I don't want to contribute to the supply problem. But I'm also not into raising rents. I believe, I mean, we talked about this earlier on the show. To me, a contract is a contract. It's an agreement, and unilaterally changing the agreement is pretty stupid.
What about things like, here's a question, like if there's natural inflation in things like power, hydro, do you pass power and hydro on?
I have no idea.
I'm not surprised. I bet you don't, just because it would be like annoying.
The truth is, I actually just don't care about that asset.
I think you're defending yourself, and I don't think we need to, because you're like a good one, maybe. We will find out eventually.
Is it possible for there to be a good one, though? That's the question.
But where is the power
I think there's got to be a limit.
Where's the power line? Like, Linus doesn't have enough money or enough power to be a concern, right?
Do I?
He could. Who knows?
I don't know what I could do. I've never really thought about it.
I think it becomes a problem when you have so much wealth that you can buy all of the onions in the U.S.
Oh, and like I can't.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you could destroy an economy.
Like, I can't buy politicians.
You can't buy politicians.
Well,
or maybe I could. I heard they're pretty cheap.
I was going to say, I think you actually could. Looking at some of the documentation that I've seen online, I think you could probably buy a few. They don't. This seems to be a relatively easy thing to do.
I think so.
They're really not that expensive.
I'm not well read enough on the subjects to like give all of the arguments.